This is now day 6 of John Paul Jackson behind 7 Days Behind the Veil. Day 6. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for your love is better than wine. Because of the fragrance of your good ointments, your name is ointment poured forth. Therefore the virgins love you. Draw me away. Song of Solomon 1, chapter 1, 2-4. Love's effect on personal identity. The deeper hidden levels of intimacy carry a secret that most people cannot bring themselves to touch. For in the touching, change occurs, and blood is led. These hidden levels of intimacy require that all barriers and every other protective countermeasure be removed and the most sensitive places of a soul be touched. It can be frightening. It can be painful to make this secret solitary journey. No one can make it with us, and few will understand our embarking on it. If we want to grow closer to the Lord, it will cost us our identity, not just our name, not just our desires, but everything that makes us who we are. This is what holiness does to a human. It purges the temple before taking us up residency. So if God is to draw close to us, whatever is not of him must leave the vicinity. For darkness cannot stand his fire, neither can a soul that is desperate to keep its identity. I'm not saying here that the desires of our hearts or the works of our hands are evil and needs to be purged, not at all. But the truth of the matter is that being in the Lord's presence is an all-consuming experience. It is much like standing in the middle of an active volcano. There is nothing in us that is not touched. Only that which is most like him remains. Letting go of fear. Just by being with him, we are asking him to remove our walls. We are asking him to align our soul with his. We are asking to become one spirit with him. We are asking to be made holy, which is to be made like him. This process can be very difficult for many reasons. And to make matters worse, one thing in particular actively works to keep us from the end of result. The chief barrier that blocks us from real intimacy with God, thereby keeping us from completely surrendering our lives to him, is fear. Fear is not just the enemy of intimacy, it is the assassin. In the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve committed the first sin in human history, they hid themselves because they felt ashamed. They were afraid to let God see them because they were responding out of fear. The first thing they did was erect small walls in the form of clothing to keep God at a distance, to keep him from seeing who they really were. They put up barriers that yelled, "Keep away! We don't know if we can trust you anymore." But obviously, it wasn't God or his divine nature who changed in those few moments. It was theirs. Fear will lie to us each and every time. It will attempt to convince us that self-protection is more important than being romanced with God and releasing our heart to him. It will attempt to tell us whatever it can in order to keep us from letting go. But we shouldn't be afraid of God. His intent is not to kill us. It is to have us. The deeper level of abiding. Abiding in Christ means we are willing to bring down our barriers and let go of our fears. Jesus' sacrifice made us perfect forever. This means that there is no condemnation, but being made holy, Christ-like, is a process. Hebrews 10:14. All of us make mistakes, and contrary to what our emotions often tell us. God doesn't expect us to not make them. The truth of the matter is that this romance with him, filled with grace, rests on his shoulder, not ours. So there is nothing to fear. Because we are so prone to fear, many Christians are content only to abide in Christ. When there is a deeper level of intimacy where he abides in us, at this level he is at rest and can make his bed in our heart. Not many of his children actually experience this level of intimacy because we, like Adam and Eve, are loath to let him closer. We are afraid that if he sees what we are ashamed of, he will no longer love us. After all, there are so many times we do not love ourselves. So we are afraid and touching. Change occurs and blood is let to become one flesh. In this romance with God, identity is lost because of a simple but extreme, age-old, yet never fully understood principle. True love is much, much more than the glue that holds a couple together. It literally transforms one entity of two. The two become one flesh. We are lost in the flood of all God is and all he does and all he waits to do. When God becomes all in our lives, nothing remains except the gems he himself has produced in us. The chaff of the world is burned away. In the aftermath, we are left loving God the way we were created to love him. Thus, we willingly, with great longing, throw off the cloak of ego that hides our true self in order to be clothed in his light, to become one with the fire of his passion. We let him change us. We let him uncover our pain. We let him do these things because we are desperate for him, because nothing else will satisfy. Salah moments. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for his love is better than wine. How do we respond to the touch of the lover? Just by being with him, we are asking him to remove our walls. We are asking him to align our soul with his. We are asking to be made holy, which is to be made like him. Is there anything we are hiding from him? Even though we know he already knows about it, denying it is a whole other matter. Fear is not just the enemy of intimacy, it is the assassin. True love is much, much more than the glue that holds a couple together. It literally transforms one entity out of two. The two become one flesh. If we want to grow closer to the Lord, it will cost us our identity. What would it take for us to embark on this journey of heart?